this power button will be white. Okay.
Okay.
Press it once, it goes green, and then the startup begins. At the back you have your USB-A pin.
Yeah.
That's for data transfer.
Fine.
And also USB-C for any newer data keys, but most will be
USB-A's, yeah, fine.
Here, if you have an external hard drive, you can plug it in through USB-A,
Yeah.
slot it in and keep it there. Alternatively, you can use it as a lens cap
don't
cover.
have one, yeah,
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
So if we go around to the front, more often than not, this is going to be the orientation for ease of use with seeing the screen and arming over the patient.
Yep.
Okay, so quite a lot of times people try and orientate the arm the other way and it will foul on the screen and it will be quite difficult to manipulate the screen around. So more often than not, this will be the orientation that you'll have it. Okay.
So this is the
But
basic
change size.
No, it's the same size.
Can it go like that?
Yep.
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 Ah.
You can have it, and then you can pull the screen out like so.
Yeah, fine. Okay, fine.
This is the problem I had with it the other day. I think it was orientated the wrong way, and hydraulics would move.
Fine, okay.
Instead of the thing over on that side, it'd be that side
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, because it normally
So it's
faces
this side?
way, isn't it?
So
Just change size.
Yeah, it has.
So kind of, just as a rule, black handle away from the patient. So not...
Where's patient's there?
Patient's
Yeah.
there.
So
Usually, the
This
black
is the
handle's that way.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
black
Yeah,
patient.
usually our handle is that way.
Yeah.
That's fine, okay.
So it's going to be, the first couple of times it'll be trial and error, but you'll kind of get used to it. So this is what you'll be greeted with. So you'll be asked to select the user on startup, and it's just one user. It's called Zeiss Test at the moment. As we go on, we can add more in, but for now, that's your basic. And it will come up with this blank screen here. This is your video feed. The way to use this is use it as you would an iPad, okay? Anything you do on an iPad, do on here, and it's quite intuitive, okay? So to bring up the menu, tap anywhere on the screen, and it'll bring up your heads-up display. So in the top here, we've got home. At any time, if you're in any of the menus, press home and you'll come back to this screen.
Fine.
Here you've got patient data, and this is your user data, so your surgeon individual profile should you have them, okay? If we're going to be recording or taking any photos of anything, I know you go through the stored stat, but if you choose to do it through here, you can add specific patients, so you add patient, and you can log a separate file, patient name, date of birth, patient ID and comment, so the type of procedure, etc. Once that's done, under patient 2, you can then save all your specific files, so photos and videos in that specific file, so you don't have a big blend of files, okay? You can export that down here. Once you've taken a photo, you press export selected, and that will go directly to your USB as a patient file. If you need to import back, it will import back as a patient file, okay? And again, to go back to our main
Do you
screen.
have to have a USB to use
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
Because we haven't.
No, so
We get them.
this has got an internal hard drive, so it will store it. But
How
what we
much
don't,
is the storage of it?
it's
internal
1
hard?
terabyte, but because it's recording HD video, it doesn't last that long.
Yeah.
So what we tend to advise is kind of every 2 weeks, we'll sift through everything that you don't need or hasn't been transferred or clear.
Fine.
So it's kind of a 2-week cycle. Okay.
Because we can't print from this, so you
No.
need to.
So, yeah.
You need to transfer
We
the
need to
images
get-
somewhere.
We need to get the hard drive from IT
After 2 weeks.
that's
does
been
it itself?
encrypted.
No, no,
Yeah.
We have to do
No,
it.
we-
so
we-
have to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where
Otherwise
do you
have no
where do you
record
insert
of
the
the draft you-
USB is
It's on
just
this
at the
side,
back.
on the back.
Okay.
You missed that
And
bit.
the USB port. Okie dokie. So again, to get back to the main screen, press home, and we're back. Okay. This is your quick tools. So this is your light on and off. That's the one you'll probably use most often. Press it once, it will slide to blue. Press it again, it will turn off. Focus light link. That's a safety feature that's built in. So as you reduce the focal distance to the patient and you find your focus, the closer you get to the patient, the more it will reduce the light, just to stop any heat. You can turn that off and override it. So if you're working at a specific focal distance, if you're not getting the light you want, you turn that off. It will say, do you want to? Click yes, and then it will turn off, and you have complete independent control over your light then. Turn it back on as a standard, but the option is there should you choose to. This is your light percentage. So this is the only parameter out of light focus and zoom that you can control through the screen. Everything else is surgeon controlled. Press it once and it'll bring out a tab, and you can slide. The surgeon asks for 50% light, slide it to 50, and it will go to 50. Okay, slide it back, and or you can use the arrows.
So does it not? So is it not
I
preset
can put
then?
it to 10.
Or do we have to do that accordingly?
No. So the light will, on startup, the light will come on at about 25%. Okay. After that, it's either surgeon controlled or it's controlled through the screen. Okay. So here we've got our focal distance.
Yeah.
So this is
Perfect.
the distance that we're actually viewing at. The only thing we can control here is the speed at which that zoom or focus changes, okay? And it's the same with your zoom.
Okay.
We can't change the focus or zoom, we can only change the rate of change, okay? Here on the side, you've got a little side menu that you control with this little arrow. This is the most important bit on this menu. This is your system balance. So earlier, before you came in, we changed over the optics, etc. In order to balance the microscope when you first started up, get it in its final position. So if you're going to change over the arms, obviously change them over. But also, if the arm's in like that, that's not going to be well balanced, because as soon as the surgeon or the assistant comes out, they pull it out, all the weight shifted over. So it doesn't have to be exactly where you leave it, but get it nigh as close as possible to its final setup, and then you get quite an accurate balance. To balance it, you press System. It will say, please do not do this over the patient, obviously. Press Start, and then it will run through all its motors. So all it's doing is calibrating the motors, takes about 10 seconds. It'll do its little dance, and then it's
So cute.
it's gonna
So cute. And if it doesn't, okay, so
Call
that's
it
what
Wally,
it's passed. What if it doesn't pass? What would be the sign that comes up on the screen?
well, I can show you very quickly. If someone was, more often than not, if it's to fail,
Yeah.
it's because something's in the way of it. So if I block it, it'll say stand info, collision or overload, and then all we do is cancel
And start
and
again.
start again, okay? Because all that's doing is stopping itself breaking the motors, so pushing against something that it's not supposed to, okay? Or if it hits a patient.
It should be
So once that's done, we'll move on to the controls on the actual microscope itself. So on the hand grips, you've got two buttons on the back.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 you'll be using the bottom button. They do the exact same on either side, much like the other microscope you had. This is all brakes, so it's stand brakes, so it can rotate the arm, and it's the microscope head. The top button, if you press that, you'll notice the stand doesn't move, but just the microscope head moves.
Okay.
Not many people use that, but the option is there. Okay.
It's more common to just move both at the same
Yeah.
time.
So you can press one or both sides. It completely doesn't matter. It's your preference.
Yeah.
The actual hand grips on the front, you've got your programmable buttons here on either side. So you can have photo, video recording, speed focus, whatever you choose up here. These are your little joysticks for the motorized function. Let me check that. No, so you don't have that spec, which is good, makes it a lot simpler. Here you've got your focus and zoom, like on the other microscope, and down the bottom here, identical on either side, is your light plus and minus, okay? Again, anything, if the rate of change is too fast, just ask for it to be changed through here.
Fine.
Okay?
Yeah, I get that.
If you get confused about what buttons do what at any point, if you've changed around the configuration, you press the hand grip diagram here. Very quickly, it will give you a quick overview of what you've got. Okay. If you need to change anything, so you can see up here, we've got speed focus and photo on both sides. You go to adjust settings, click on whatever one you want, and you can choose out of this range here. Okay. But as a standard, this is what we'll leave it at. Okay.
Does
Now-
it save the settings?
Yes, it does.
So
And if they tamper it with it, would just revert back to its
No.
preset.
No. So whatever they tamper it to,
Yeah.
that's what it will stay at. So that's why if we are going to change stuff, we'll create new profiles.
Okay.
So this, as a standard, this is to suit everyone.
I know, but would it just revert back to those settings?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so here on the side we can see what we've had before. This is the C-mount for the connection to your Stort system. This is obviously the binoculars that you've been using before. If you're a glasses wearer, I'm sure you're aware of this. I don't want anyone to be taught to suck eggs, but if you're a glasses wearer, we have them in. If you're a non-glasses wearer, we're actually going to roll these caps out until you can see 2 silver rings, and that's just to make sure that you can rest your eyes on the cups, and that's going to have a good focus, because everyone will have either a natural hover away to compensate for that, or press.
Yeah.
So
And does it go beyond that?
it does, but then it will
okay.
start to come out.
If you're doing ears, you tend to press. If you're doing scopes, you tend to hover.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So if you're a glasses wearer and you're leaving your glasses on, we're going to have the diopters set to 0 because you've already got your own correction, and you're going to have them all the way in because you've already got that distance to your glasses. If you're a non-glasses wearer, then you have them out to compensate.
Yeah.
And if you're a glasses wearer but take them off, but you know your diopter, then we'll actually change the diopter to compensate for that. The only way that doesn't work is if you've got an astigmatism, because these can't account for that.
So can you not just leave it like that, and then whoever needs glasses and don't, they will still be able to get the view that they need? Or
You need to know about it.
As a microscope user, you should know this as a standard.
Most guys should know, yeah.
People who wear glasses know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Another one.
Not yet, Mr. Farah, not yet.
There's a couple of things just to bear in mind for maintaining the microscope and making sure that you don't have any breakdowns or anything like that. Okay, whenever you move the microscope, even if it's just to push it over slightly, always release the brakes. You do not want to be pushing against the brakes. It will move and it will squeak and it will sound horrible, but that's not the way to do it, and you'll be calling us for an engineer. Yeah. So anytime you want to move it, even if it's a couple of millimeters, just release the brakes first, okay? Anytime you're moving this arm, always close the cup before you move it, okay? You'll be able to push past it, but again, you'll find it will go really floppy and really loose, and it won't be...
That's a bit red issue, fine.
Yep, okey-dokey. And then apart from that, the things to bear in mind is park it before you turn it off, because again, the motors will lock, and you'll have a lot of people saying they start it up and it's got all these warnings saying please call an engineer, and then you ask them why did you move it once and they said yep, to get through a doorway we left it like this, but we had to pull it down, and that's not the way to. It's kind of almost like towing an automatic car.
Fine.
It's not the way to do it, okay?
Push away, okay.
But other than that, I'll show you the park position. So the park position, so you pull this arm in, it will fold over itself. Goes nice and flat, okay? And then we're going to have the microscope head go over the arm, over the screen, okay? Microscope head goes over
Don't
the
hit the
screen.
screen.
Yeah. And that's perfect. That's about as compact as it will go, and then you can turn it off.
Our problem going to be pictures and recording. That's our problem.
Yes. But if you
But we
like,
can
you
hook it up to the
that's
source
yeah.
anyway.
fine.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the other way, do both ways.
Yeah.
and that's just with the,
Until we get the nice hard drive from
Hard
the
drive,
IT people, we need to get.
Yes, it's
How do you drive it now?
Sorry?
How do
How
you
do
drive
you
it?
drive it?
Oh, the handle, yeah.
The handle, that
Handles
handle's
are blocked.
The handle's totally the wrong place.
We have had feedback on this.
And it's quite heavy. Did you try it?
What was
It's
yes?
heavy.
So our next generation of microscope, they are actually turning that over.
Handle, yeah.
So
Whoopsies.
when we get a fix to that, we'll let
Whoopsies.
you know. Yeah.
What about the light? If it gets busted, the bulb.
Just take it off and turn around, no?
No, 'cause it's a bar that runs all the way through.
Yeah.
It's one piece. Yeah.
Oh yes, how do you change the light bulb?
The bulbs.
So-
Raise it.
right.
Bulbs,
Just in
really,
case.
Very good.
so that's something that even you would do.
Yeah, but then we need to know as well, where is it gonna be
They're
done?
useless.
we need to know those things too, you know, we need to
Okey-dokey.
DIY sometimes. Or
So
I'm
here-
not DIY, but,
so
you know,
here
I
you've
need
got-
to know it.
You've got 2 bulbs running at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've both got 500 hours. There's no levers to pull or anything like that.
So
You
does it
come in-
tell you? Does it give you a pre-warning that it needs replacing?
Yep, so it will tell you when it gets to about 100 hours. When it gets to about 100 hours, it will,
Away, yeah.
when you start it up, it will say you have X amount of time left. All you go is go into the settings, there's a little cog here. On this top where it says microscope, light tab, and this is where your startup light conditions are. So you asked about what the light settings will be when you turn on, about 25%.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got 2 lamps starting at 500 hours. If you want to change the lamp, what you do is you click over, automatically rotates the tumbler, and then it will go onto. It's already changed over anyway. So yeah, so it will automatically change over, okay? And then to change back, go back to bulb 1. We'll try and run one bulb down at a time instead of having
Both, perfect.
yeah.
Fine, perfect.
Okie dokie.
That's quite good now.
But we can't physically change the light bulb, unlike mouse.
No,
I would
so
recommend
once you're down to about 100 hours on the second bulb, then you can contact the EBME to say
Yes,
But-
that's fine.
We
So
need new bulbs.
they need to check that though, isn't it? It doesn't come up with a pre-light or warning to say that first bulb
does.
is.
yeah.
Is it?
As I said earlier, so
Only if you go onto that screen though.
no. So
No,
when
no.
you started,
Listen,
It pumps up.
when you started up, it will
Okay.
come up to say you have X amount of hours
Oh,
left.
yeah, yeah.
Alright.
Very good, very good. Excellent.
What's that tube for? It says
What
light
tube?
Tube. Is that YouTube?
Focal tube. Magnum.
Oh no, these are just your various settings that we do at startup. So
Okay.
these are your. This is
Don't
the
touch.
geeky bit.
Don't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if those
Don't
get
touch.
tampered, they don't reset themselves, do they? Really?
No, but it's
Is there a reset?
there'd be
something
no
button
there'd be
in
no
there?
reason to touch these. You'd
You'd
have
be
to know
surprised.
you'd have to know what you're
Someone
doing.
Someone will.
If
Yeah.
someone does
To play around
just
with
by
them.
chance get it off, is there a reset button in there that I
No.
can touch
Uh,
so that it will go back to where?
All you have to do is start a new profile,
I was gonna say,
and
you
it'll
start a new profile,
start a new
it's back to-
profile, and it'll go back
How
to.
do you start
How do we do that?
Yep. So you go click on the
Missed
name,
that bit.
and then you press add,
Ah, excellent.
and then you just create whatever profile you want.
And if you want to delete the
One that
profile,
says airway.
The one
So if
that's
you want to
totally
delete the
messed up.
profile, you go to you go to the little pencil, highlight it, and then press delete. But you can't delete the active user at the
No.
moment, so you'd have to change to new user
Yeah.
to delete.
That's fine.
alright.
That makes
Excellent.
sense, that's fine. Yes.
Any questions?
So maintaining it from the cleaning perspective, what do they use?
If you need to use anything up to 80% alcohol for the optics, nothing, only microfiber, so nothing that's going to leave filament. Never clean inside the optics. That would be for us. But
Yeah.
if you have to clean the surface optic
You're
here,
going to have to.
80% alcohol.
You're going to have to.
No soaps or anything
No.
like that.
Screen?
Green
No
Clinell.
chlorine.
Clean now.
Yeah.
And the actual frame.
Clinell.
So now fine. It's now a big issue thing.
Yeah.
Sunny, sunny,
No, it's just
sunny.
It's a lot to clean though, isn't it? It's a lot to clean. You've got half an hour polishing it.
Just this, just this, nothing else.
No, canal as well.
No.
No?
Yeah.
But not for the optics.
No, not for
No.
the
So I just have to.
And then on the screen and
Like,
on the
finger on the rest.
Water out it.
No, because that won't evaporate.
You can't clean the blood up.